know Chandra is going to lead us in just a moment, but I'll just invite you guys to find a spot where you're comfortable. I'm going to lead the practice from seated, but you're also welcome to stand. So just adjust your environment, adjust yourself as you might want to. See if I can show you guys the view out my window. It's such a beautiful spring day. I don't know if I can turn my camera around. Maybe not. Well, another time. It's nice to have some sunshine.
It is a sunshine and a beautiful day today. It is 10 o'clock, so we are going to go ahead and get started. I just want to say good morning, everybody. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Helena, who will lead us in a 10-minute exercise. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to you. And just to remind everybody, please remain muted during the session. Thank you. Go ahead.
Sandra, thank you. Good morning, everybody. So yeah, we're just going to do about a 10-minute movement practice. Again, I will teach this from a seated position, but you're welcome to stand or sit on the floor, whatever is the most comfortable or interesting for you today. And just to give a tiny intro of some of the precepts of this practice that have really been researched to help with situations where we might feel stressed or maybe even feel a little bit out of control. So a lot of the language that you'll hear is very soft, and that's actually really intentional. So instead of telling you what to do, I'm going to invite you to participate and invite you to make choices. And the purpose behind that is that if it's a time when we've been stressed or we haven't felt like we have our normal level of control, inserting option for choice into a practice is actually something that can help us recover from stress. So we see that and actually really borne out in research. And then I'll also invite you throughout the practice just to notice sensation from your physical body. And that's something, again, that we really see can help certain people to recover from stress, to have more resiliency in certain circumstances. So there's no right or wrong choice, and there's no right or wrong sensation. If I say, hey, you might notice sensation in your neck and you don't feel that, that's totally okay. All right, so I would just invite you to find a position where you might like to start. And if you have a chair with a back like I do, you could see if you'd rather lean into the back of your chair, or if you might like to scoot a little bit forward so there's some space between your back and the back of the chair. So that's totally up to you if you'd rather lean back or come a bit forward. And then perhaps lengthening your spine. So maybe lengthening your spine, maybe dropping your shoulders a bit. And we might just start, this is how I start a lot of practices, with a little bit of a sideways rock. And you can see I'm not really doing very much. It's just a little bit of rocking side to side or swaying side to side. And if you're doing just this little bit of a rock, it's almost like shifting in your seat. You might notice a sensation of pressure under your body. So maybe under your legs or feet, you might just notice a little bit of changing pressure. And then just in your own time, when you feel ready, you might come to center. And then we could experiment with a little bit of a shoulder roll. So if you like, you could try rolling your shoulders. And you might want to roll your shoulders the way that I'm doing it, which is in unison and moving backward. Or you might choose maybe one at a time, or maybe a forward movement. So those choices about how to roll your shoulders, that's up to you. I always like to roll my left shoulder a little bit more because it tends to be a little tighter. So you can feel free to experiment. Also, just knowing that you are in charge of the pace and the size of those shoulder circles. So you are in charge of the pace and the size. And we might just do maybe just a few more. And then you could choose if you'd like to change something up or maybe keep it the same. And then maybe just once or twice you might lift your shoulders, perhaps with an inhale breath, and then exhale and dropping your shoulders. You can see my dog walking around in the back. And maybe inhale again and perhaps lifting, squeezing your shoulders up by your ears, and then exhale and dropping down. And then sometimes after we stop a movement, there's like an after effect of sensation. So you might be able to feel some change in sensation in your shoulders, maybe between your shoulder blades. And then we could experiment maybe with a head tilt. So you could tilt in the same direction as me or the opposite direction. And again, here there are lots of choices with how to tilt. So you can choose how far down, how close you'd like to bring your ear to your shoulder. And then you also could choose if you'd like to be still or maybe add some movement. So I like to do a little movement side to side, often with the head tilt. But stillness is a great option too. And then some people with that head tilt like to take a hand to the shoulder muscles. So you could see if you'd like to do that, maybe pressing your fingers into your shoulder muscles with any amount of pressure. And whatever option you're choosing, if you're doing this head tilt, maybe some pressure into your shoulder muscles, you might be able to feel something from the side of your neck or maybe your shoulder girdle. So there might be some feelable sensation there. And you can stay with that side as much as you would like to. Sometimes one side is particularly interesting to us. Just when you're ready, you might come back to center. Maybe just pause for a moment. Again, there might be that kind of after effect of sensation in the side that you just moved. Totally fine if there isn't. And then you can see sometimes we want to do the same side again, or you might want to switch sides. So maybe doing a head tilt to the opposite side. And you might want to do pretty much the same thing that you did on the first side, or you might decide to change it up a bit. And if you're not sure, it's totally fine to experiment. So you could experiment with a little movement, maybe lifting and lowering your chin. You could experiment with stretching a little bit farther or coming out a bit. And again, here, just if it's interesting to you, you could take your hand across or your same hand to your shoulder, maybe pressing your fingers in. And just however you're doing that head tilt, maybe with the addition of the fingers, maybe not, you could just notice if you feel any sensation, perhaps along the side of your neck, maybe into your shoulder. Just kind of scanning, noticing for possible feelable sensation there. And then just as you feel ready, you might come back to the center. And sometimes after we do that tilt side to side, there's an interest in doing one side again. So feel free to go back and do one side again or both sides again. I'm going to introduce another form, another movement, just if you're interested in trying it, which is a twist. So it can be something you might want to try if you're in a chair, to take your hands to the chair, to take your hand to the side or the back of your chair, or you might just have your hands on your hips or your legs, and then twisting to one side. And it's up to you. You can decide to have your head kind of in the center, or you might decide to take your head with your body. Or sometimes it's even interesting to take your head kind of away from the direction that you're turning. So I'm turning my torso to the right and taking my head to the left. That might be just something that's interesting for you. And sometimes in a twist, you might get some sensation from your torso, the side of your neck, and that sensation might help you decide, oh, do I want to keep going into the twist or go in and out of it? Or am I really in the spot where I'd like to be? So maybe finding sensation from your torso or your neck, and that might help you decide if you'd like to go a little bit farther or if you're about where you'd like to be. And you can stay with that twist, maybe kind of pulsing in and out of it a little bit, as long as you might want to. It's always okay to stay in a form shorter or longer than I do. And then just as you're ready, you might come to center and maybe just kind of scanning. Is there that after effect of sensation, maybe in your hip or shoulder or neck? And then just adjusting and then noticing if you'd like to turn to the other side. So maybe trying the other side. And again, here, if you're in a chair, you can take your hands to your chair or leave your hands on your legs or hips. And then twisting to that side. And again, here you have choices. You can bring your head with your torso. You can leave your head kind of in the center, or you can turn your head away from your torso. And for me, about center feels good on this side. And then just noticing again, you might get some sensation from your shoulder, the sides of your rib, the sides of your neck. And that sensation might help you decide if you're about where you want to be, or if you might want to kind of pulse a little bit deeper into the twist or come out of it. So feel free to experiment. It's fine also not to know. You know, sometimes we have a choice and we don't know exactly what to do, and that's just fine. You can experiment. And then just as you're ready, coming back to center. And then again, maybe just noticing, scanning for that after effect of sensation, see if there's anything that you want to shake out, like your arm or hands. I'm just going to check the time real quick here. Okay, so we're almost at our 10 minutes. It goes so quickly. I'm just going to offer a little movement pattern coordinating with the breath. So kind of bringing the breath work that we did last time together with the movement. So as you inhale, you might see if you want to bring your arms out. And you could bring your arms out to the side or maybe even up to the ceiling. You decide how far you'd like to lift, maybe stretching a little bit more and inhaling more. And then as you exhale, you might release. And if that was an interesting pattern for you, we could do that a couple more times, maybe inhaling, stretching out to the sides, maybe up, maybe fingertips up toward the ceiling.
Helena, this is Dana. It looks like you're muted, and you've been muted since you finished the breathing exercises. Do you mind unmuting your microphone?
Thank you. I don't know quite how that happened.
No worries, you're good. We can hear you now again.
Okay, great. So any questions or comments, feel free. All right, everybody. I hope you have a great rest of your Monday. Thanks for joining today. And sorry about the technology issue. That's just the way I roll sometimes, but I hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Helena. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Take care.